Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I will tell you this, the excitement of the Mueller testimony. I'm going to tell you guys, Mueller is going to be about as exciting as watching Bill Belichick or Popovich, the two most grizzled, uncomfortable interviews in sports. One-word answers and nothing else. But it's not about Mueller. They're going to try for the gotcha, right? We're going to come for the gotcha. But the reality is, if you think Trump is guilty, nothing is going to change. And I mean that. I mean, if Mueller came out and said, what's in my report is he had nothing to do with this. The Russians were doing this. If he came out and said, if I was an independent investigator that was called in on this before this thing had gotten so political, I probably said I wouldn't even looked into any of these things because of where it came from. If he says on Wednesday, no, if he was a private citizen, I would not have pursued obstruction of justice charges. You still think he's guilty because you'll figure out something in your mind to twist it in a way that it suits the belief that you have. Other side is, if he comes out and says, looking at everything, I believe obstruction is justice, I would absolutely 110% charge him. And, you know, and whatever else. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you think he's innocent, he's innocent. If you think he's guilty, he's guilty. Nothing is going to change that. This isn't about him. This is about the other people that are going to be asking the questions. That's what this is about. You know it. I know it. We all know it. They'll get their 5 minutes and they'll spend 4 minutes and 50 seconds railing on about all kinds of stuff, having their Spartacus moment before they finally say, if he was a private citizen, would you have gone after him for obstruction of justice? People already believe he's guilty or you already believe he's innocent. Nothing is going to change on Wednesday.
Found. They've said that it found no collusion, that it found no obstruction, that it exonerated the president. All three of those statements are absolute lies. It found a great deal of collusion. It found a great deal of obstruction of justice by the president, and it found and it pointed to refuse to exonerate the president. We think it's very important for the American people to hear directly what the facts are, because this is a president who has violated the law 6 ways from Sunday. If anyone else had been accused of what the report finds the president had done, they would have been indicted.
Yeah, probably, except for one thing. Nobody would have, if he wasn't president, you wouldn't even have looked into this. Even if all of those things were true, that he did collude, which, by the way, Mueller, who you guys put all your faith in, said no, he did not collude. So you're lying right there, Nadler. I expect that. Everybody is trying to get it so their side understands what they're selling. This is about selling to the American people the idea that he's so bad that he must be impeached. Because even if, here's the reality, is even if both sides think, yeah, we should probably get rid of this guy, they still take their cue from the temperature of the American people. And they're not there. They're not there. So it doesn't matter at this point in time. So now your best bet is to sell the hell out of what you think is going to happen and how you think you can spin it. 99.9% of the people in this country have not read that. I would say 95% of people inside of the Beltway in D.C. haven't read it all the way through. I have listened to it because it's on Audible and it's awful. It is dull. It is boring. It is lawyer speak. That's the reality of it. But they're still coming. They're going to do everything they can. The Republicans are going to come hard because they're going to ask questions I think are fair to ask. Should this thing have ever even been started? Can we not have questions about who this Christopher Steele is and all of this stuff? Can we not have questions about some of these things that are happening here? Can we not have questions about your staff and the bias inside of your staff? Can we not have serious questions about all of it? Yeah. But here's the thing with Mueller. He's shrewd, right? He is. He's smart, and he doesn't want to be here.
Mueller is a notoriously reluctant witness on the Hill. He doesn't want to say anything. He's testified up there scores of times, and he has made it his practice not to say very much and to scorn all that bipartisanship. So fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a pretty interesting show this week.
Yeah, it is. It is. It'll be interesting for politicians. It'll be interesting for talking heads. It'll be interesting for the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the Fox. But the average person is going to get up in the morning. They'll read a little bit about it. They'll hear some snidbits on talk radio or on Fox or MSNBC and stuff. But they're too busy going about their lives, trying to sort things out, trying to get things going, trying to continue to grow their business, go back to school, whatever it is that they're going to do. Most Americans are like, you know what? 2020, sort it out. We're moving on from this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Of course, the tweet heard around the world is still tweeting. Trump's talking about the squad throughout the day. So this will be the battle this week. And how much noise can Trump make to change what happens on Wednesday, or maybe make what should be just a blockbuster day into sucking the air out of the room by changing course and starting a battle somewhere, because that's what he's great at doing.
This is a guy who is worse than a racist. He is actually using racist tropes and racial language for political gain. He's trying to use this as a weapon to divide our nation against itself. This is a moment where, as someone who swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, we have a president that is acting not like the leader of the free world, but more like an authoritarian figure.
Here's my thing. First of all, I don't even know what's worse than a racist, right? Secondly, when you say he's an authoritarian, when you want to call him a dictator, I look at Saddam Hussein was a dictator, right? Muammar Gaddafi was a dictator. Chairman Mao was a dictator. Like, those are dictators. The fact that you're even out running against him for president of the United States and speaking out against him shows you that he's none of those things. He's not. Like, that's fear-mongering. You want to talk about dividing a country? You don't think that's fear-mongering? You don't think that there's fear-mongering right there? The world's coming to an end. He's going to blow the world up. Everybody's going to hate us, blah, blah, blah. You don't think there's some division in there? Absolutely there is. You call him a dictator or a Nazi all the time. If he really was those things, do you think you'd be able to say that? I'm just curious. I don't think you would, because the last time I checked, every time a dictator has somebody step up against them, they somehow magically disappear. Have you noticed that? I don't think people understand that. It's very interesting. But I don't even know what's worse than a racist. That's the thing I found to be very, like, he's worse than a racist. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's worse than a racist? Well, you know, other things. Language is so important. And the left has done something that the right has failed to do, which is control language. Because the right doesn't want to control language. I don't want to control language, right? I'm in the middle. I don't care what either side says. But one has done something so much better, which is been able to weaponize language in a way that they've used it for you know, the way that they wanted to use it. In a way that they feel that they can take control by changing things, changing terms. And you know, Trump's come along and he's changed a lot of that by saying, I just don't give a rat's ass. I don't care. Neither will other people. I don't care. I don't care about your PC speak. I don't care about any of this stuff. I'm me. I'm going to continue to do me. And that's what he's done. He pushes the envelope. And for a lot of people out there, they smile. They think it's hilarious. They think it's funny. I will tell you this. Most people, even on the right, don't agree with the way that Trump acts, don't agree with the things that he says as far as his obnoxiousness and his tweeting and stuff. But let me tell you something. They like the fact that somebody could care less about the language police They enjoy that. I don't blame them. It does get frustrating. I don't want to live in a world you walk around on eggshells. I don't want to live in a world. Do you want to live in a world like that? I don't think most people do. But that's what we have. It's insane, some of the insanity. We're going to talk about a story here in a minute that I find flabbergasting. And we were just sitting around going, every time you think, well, we really can't get any worse or weirder than this, then you're like, no, we've topped it. Wait to hear this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Iran still being Iran, and that is just, God. If you've not heard what they did, it is so, I mean, they went onto the ship. They raised their flag on the ship. And the baloney that the Russians said was tremendous. They said, you know what? The only reason Iran did what they did is because they're worried about the ecological damage that could be done in the Straits of Hormuz. That's what they said. That's what the Russians said. Like with a straight face. They're like, oh, this is going to be great. Watch this. I told them we already got one. I mean, that is insane. More sanctions. And remember, the UK, which is part of Europe, at least for now, is still inside of the deal with Iran, even though we have stepped out of it. I don't know what they think they're going to get. I will say this. Venezuela, of course, has stepped up and said, ha-ha, good for you guys, Iran. So is Cuba. You know who's been quiet, though? China. China's not said anything. China's been very quiet. Very quiet. But it was just amazing. So you guys are worried about global warming and climate change? Is that it? Well, Iran, why do you produce any oil then? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Wounded Paws, an amazing organization I've been working with for a while. They are absolutely 110% incredible. They are real. They're legit. And the way that they are doing things is changing not only the lives of animals, but the lives of our first responders, our veterans, and their family. Every day, thousands of animals, dogs are being killed, euthanized. Well, at the same time, we lose 20 veterans a day to suicide. For years, people said, you can't take a shelter dog that's a little bit older and turn it into a service dog. They beg to differ, and they're doing it, and it's incredible. They need your help. If you got an extra car, truck, RV, even a boat, it is a vehicle for change. They will take it. Tax-deductible gift is incredible. They also take cash. But you really will be going to show how you can save a paw and save a life. Join them today. Go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org to find out how you can help out, or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729, 844-678-4729, or woundedpawproject.org. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Pooey.
Pooey, pooey, and double pooey.
Boris, your language. This is a family show, remember?
Pooey to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Organizers calling for an island-wide strike. They expect about 1 million people to hit the streets. Some U.S. officials and Democratic presidential hopefuls joining in on the calls for Rosselló to step down, but he has refused. He did say he is ready to face the legislative process, which could open him up to impeachment. Victor Oquendo, ABC News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
You know what I like about that? It still sounds like a party, right? In Puerto Rico. So the governor of Puerto Rico, in text that got out, and there were plenty of them, was shown to be misogynistic, homophobic, a lot of things. Just a essentially behind the closed doors, he is not a good dude. And now they want him gone, to the tune of, you need to get the hell out of here. Now, what he did come out and say is, oh, I'm not going to leave, but don't worry, I'm not going to run for re-election. I'm not coming for re-election. Don't you worry. All right? I'm going to stick it out. Everybody on the island is partying today and protesting. He said horrible things about Ricky Martin. Just Ricky Martin's out there. I mean, he said some stuff that, even make Trump go, kind of thing. So, but he's not going anywhere. And I think that's part of the Trump effect right there. Like the little bit of that is the Trump effect where it's like, we can say a lot of things and just don't go. Right? So everybody's going to be striking. Nobody's happy. They want him gone. And, man, in this day and age, you better buy a burner phone.
I think it's important for the people of Puerto Rico to stand up and protest against corruption, and that has been ongoing for years. And I think it's about time that we have like a new government.
Here's the funny thing. It has been ongoing for years. Right? This guy hasn't been there for years. Since 2017, he's been there. But it is an ugly situation, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. Then you go across the globe to Hong Kong, and if you're not watching out what's going over there, it is getting ugly. And what the Chinese are doing now is they're bringing in essentially mercenaries. They don't want the cops to do anything to the protesters. So they're bringing in people who are going and beating up the protesters, hurting the protesters, with the cops essentially turning a blind eye at what's going on there. And it is that's something that I'm seriously, the more I watch it, the more I'm waiting for it to boil over. And this is a big thing where you must watch what takes place here, because Hong Kong falls that the way that China, even though they're part of the Chinese territory, but if it goes by the way of true communism, next is Taiwan, and it's going to get ugly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. What if you didn't pay your bills when it comes to your kids' lunch? What do you hear one school district did? And plates. Are they making you fat? And are they mean and evil? Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
He is clearly deeply reluctant to testify. He is a reticent witness, even under the best of circumstances. He will be even more reticent.
That right there is Adam Dipschiff talking about Monsieur Mueller, who is going to testify reluctantly. And to say he's going to be treated like a hostile person. That's how they're going to treat him. Hostile witness. Because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't. He doesn't want to be there. He wants no part of this. Essentially, his work that he has done on the Mueller report is his word. Go from there. But they want clarifications. They want clarifications, and they want to hear it out of his mouth. This isn't about Mueller and getting him to say something, because they know they're not going to get anything that's going to be amazing. This is more about just rabble-rousing your base and keeping the dream alive.
He has made it clear that he doesn't want to go beyond the report, and I want to make it clear that is a choice that Bob Mueller is making.
Yeah, that is. He didn't want to. He doesn't want to. He has said that. But you don't care. You don't care. Your whole goal is to do everything you can to get him there, to try to get him to do one thing. Because he's not going to go, come to second thought, it was all about collusion. I don't even know what I can't even remember what I wrote. No, he's not going to do that. You're trying to get him to say, yes, if he was an ordinary person, he would have been indicted over obstruction. That is what this is all about. The Republicans will fire back with their thing, trying to get him to talk about, Carter Strzok and Page and how this thing even came to be about the Steele dossier and all of that stuff. And they'll try to get some gotcha moments when it comes to Comey. But it's more about the people, like all of these things are. It's more about the people asking the questions than the person answering the question. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Life is more expensive in so many ways. We know that. We've talked about it. In other ways, it's less expensive. Right? You want a big, giant TV that's 70 inches? God, it's cheap. You can get a good one. It's cheap. When I was growing up, if something didn't work, you took it and got it fixed. Right? Those TVs weighed 800 pounds. You and your friends would throw your back out and your grandma would give you $5 for lunch. Right? Can you help me move the TV? And you take it down there and they'd, put the tube in it and do whatever else and bring it back. And the 8,000-pound TV would come back. You got it fixed because it was so expensive. I was watching American Graffiti last night. Right? That was on. It was very interesting. God, I'm like, I haven't seen this movie in forever. And there's a part where Richard Dreyfuss is sitting in front of a store window that's got televisions. Right? And they're like, remember, it's supposed to be in the 60s, right? Like, the mid 60s. And it's like, TVs, and they show the prices. And some are like $259 and $300 for a TV. For $300 now, you get like a 50-inch television. It's insane. Think about how far away we are and what that TV can do. But for a lot of other things, life is more expensive. Case in point, I came across this, and this is a perfect example of what we're talking about heading into 2020. How expensive things are. And it is nuts. So think about this. The average parent is going to spend about $10,000 a year for one child in daycare. Is that crazy? $10,000 a year for a child in daycare. If you've got multiple children, even if you get a discount, you're still looking at like $16,000 to $18,000. If you make $50,000 a year, right? And you take home, let's say, $36,000. You're spending almost $1,000 a month just for daycare. On top of that, you've got all the other things, and parents are spending more and more and more and more and more and more. It is expensive. I don't know how people do it sometimes. I sit back and go, wow. And they talk about the fact that parents are making decisions, right? 38% of parents said they've increased or changed their job to increase their pay, meaning they're working longer hours or they've had to just change jobs altogether. They may have loved where they were, but somebody else was offering them more. 36% said they've asked for more flexible work schedules and or move to a job that will do that. And 26% said they went part-time. 22% said they became stay-at-home parents because it was cheaper. It was cheaper. I have friends that are going through that right now. One of them's got a good job, and the other one's decided that it's just cheaper. The money that they would make essentially would go to pay for the kids' daycare. And at some point in time, they're just like, ooh, can't do it. It's nuts. It is crazy. These are things that Americans care about. Russia, they're not worried about that. They're worried about, hey, I got to make sure I pay for my kids this. I got to make sure I pay for my kids that. I got to make sure I pay rent, the whole nine, mortgage, the whole 9 yards. Russia's not at the top of their list. It's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of parents, imagine if you got this.
The threatening letter was sent to parents at the Wyoming Valley West School District in Pennsylvania. Trying to collect $22,000 owed by roughly 1,000 students, the district wrote parents, if you are taken to dependency court, the result may be your child being removed from your home and placed in foster care.
What? So wait a minute here. You can't make your kid's lunch payment, and there's a chance that they could come take your kid away from you for foster care? What? The insanity of that. It's $22,000. I don't know how many kids are in the school. It's not like, I think if they say 1,000 kids are in the rears. So is that like $22 a piece? That's why we can't have nice things. But schools are desperate. Money's tight.
It's bordering on criminal, if you ask me, for them to pull that on families.
Sparking outrage, critics call the letter lunch shaming, but the cash-strapped district says it needs the money.
It might be a bit too heavy for some people. No one wants to take their kids away from them or to advocate that, but we were not getting a response.
Oh. So it was a response. And I can understand that. I mean, there's only so much schools can do. And this is the frustration I have a lot of times with, if you neglect nobody's giving you, like if you have a dog and you can't feed your dog, like nobody's going to give you money to feed your dog. And too often than not, I mean, schools around the country are getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner in certain areas. And during the off part of the year, whether it's a year-round school or summer, kids are allowed to come to school and get food. That's insane. I mean, it is. It sucks that you're in a situation like that. And God willing, you hope it's temporary. But lunch shaming is real. When I was in SoCal, my friend's a teacher, and she did okay for herself. And her son went to the school, and he would pay for his lunch, and kids would make fun of him for paying for his lunch. Lunch shaming. The opposite. Oh, you can pay for yours? We get ours for free.
With the National School Lunch Program serving 30 million children, 20 million kids qualify for free lunches, 2 million more for reduced pricing.
A growing number of states have passed or are considering legislation banning lunch shaming. Federal lawmakers are working on their own anti-shaming bill.
It's messed up. It puts a lot of pressure on the kids and the parents.
Tonight, school administrators in Pennsylvania are sending out letters of apology. But the last thing some parents want here is more mail from the district.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either. I don't know how you stop people from... I don't know what lunch shaming is. And I've heard it in other places where they don't want you to bring your lunch. They want everybody to have the same kind of lunch because it's not fair that other kids don't get to eat what other kids get to eat. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that's all about. But what is lump shaming? I mean, everything we do now, there's a certain shame part, right? Like we've got to look back and go, oh my God, you're shaming somebody because you're better than somebody at something else, or you have this and they don't have that. Case in point, like here's Macy's, right? Here's a perfect example of why we can't have nice things. They're calling this shaming because they've got plates that you can't buy anymore. And what they are is they're portion plates. So they've got a little circle in the beginning and it says like skinny jeans, then a bigger one that says like, favorite jeans, and then a bigger circle that says mom jeans, and other ones say foodie and then food coma. And they're saying this is shameful. This is shameful. This is evil. This is bad. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, it's portion control. It's what you should be eating. It's supposed to be, I'm sure, a little bit funny, and at the other times, and the plates are called portions just right. They said some of the people who are out there tweeting about this, so they had to pull everything off. Everywhere there's a Macy's, they pulled them off, which if you can find these plates, I'm sure they're going for all right on Amazon and eBay. It encourages eating disorder. I was telling the guys, look, if you really want to encourage eating disorder, right, just put pictures up of beautiful people in the center and then fatter people on the outside, right? Go a little Mama Cass all the way down to, whoever you find to be, Or if you really think you should, go all the way down to Karen Carpenter. They said, these expectations can actually kill someone. Get over yourself. My God, this is why we can't have nice things. Macy's isn't promoting an eating disorder. I mean, if you think that to be true, then there's a new diet program, whatever, called Noom that's out, and I think it's all about portions and the psychology of it all. But once again, this is shaming people. You're shaming them. We've talked about it on numerous occasions. What are doctors? Doctors are lying to patients nowadays because they feel that it's now should be a stigma. Fat is a stigma. Overweight is nutritional overachieving is a stigma. We need to get rid of that stigma. Good God, this is why we can't have nice things. Lunch shaming. Jimmy brought a lunch that's better than everybody else's. We had to take it away and throw it away and made him eat crap because everybody else felt bad about it. Well, maybe Jimmy's parents shouldn't suck. What if your mom packed you just an awful lunch? You've got all the money in the world, but your mom's just horrible at lunch. God, I remember trading at lunch, too? Like, what you got? I got a bologna and cheese. I love bologna. What do you have? Peanut butter and jelly? Right on. You couldn't do that now. You can't even bring peanut butter. That's like, sweet Jesus. That's like bringing a gun to school. Shaming. Oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Could you imagine being in therapy? Linda, why are you here? I got these plates from Macy's. They were awful. Now I have an eating disorder. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
We gotta finish this. Tony Stark and friends did it. Avengers Endgame, now the highest grossing film of all time worldwide this weekend, passing Avatar's $2.78 billion total. That's thanks in part to a special re-release of Endgame a few weeks ago. At Comic-Con, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige told me,
"It is something we never thought about happening. We wanted to outdo ourselves, is what all we wanted to do, and compete with ourselves."
So now Avengers Endgame is number 1, Avatar number 2, and Titanic in 3rd.
Yeah. Number 1 this weekend at the box office was Lion King. Did like 185 million worldwide. Still don't. I don't see, like, you're running out of stuff. I feel like you shouldn't be running out of stuff. There should be some cool stuff out there, but I feel like we're running out of stuff. Like, they're just giving up. They're like, what's the lowest hanging fruit that you can grab? And if you think the Avenger movies are done, you're totally mistaken. They're not done. There's more of them coming. There's more. They may not be the group, but there's plenty more from the Marvel Universe. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. How good's a joke when it comes to TV?
Research seems to bear out the use of laugh tracks on TV shows. Bad jokes seem funnier if someone else is laughing. Danny Ocean and Rusty Ryan's forced guffaws were part of a con job in Ocean's 12. University College London presented groan-worthy dad jokes by a professional comedian to 2 audiences, one without and the other with laughter, either recorded or live, added in. And the latter increased the funniness ratings given by audience members. Why? Don't know. The studies in the journal Current Biology.
I'll tell you why. Because a crowd loves to go where certain things are going, right? That's that whole, like, it's going to move. It doesn't take a genius to see that. So if other people think it's funny and they're laughing, you should probably laugh too, because everybody else is. So if they're doing it, I should do it. That's the whole thing when I talk about with, like, virtue signaling is a perfect example. It's like, if you're in an audience and you may not believe it, but you don't want to be the one left out, right? You don't want to be the one left out. So if somebody comes out and says something about Trump and everybody else is clapping that's negative, I don't want to be the person that's left. I don't want to be the person signaled out. I don't want to be the person in the crowd that's not agreeing with everybody, because that's what I want to be. And it's the same thing with laughter. People are going to laugh. They're going to fake it along the way. Oh, my God, yeah. If they're laughing, I should laugh. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us if you're at school and you're in Oregon. Maybe you're just having a tough day. You take a day off.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people in Oregon, and it's one of the reasons why young activists have been pushing public schools to include mental health days along with regular sick days. Governor Kate Brown has just signed the bill, so when classes resume, schools will be instructed to treat mental health and physical health equally. Some parents had pushed back, saying kids can already take time off by just pretending to be sick. Proponents of the new bill say hiding mental health like that is a part of the problem.
But nobody's going to come out. Very few are going to come out and say they've got issues. Now you could say, I just need a day off. I need a mental health day. I'm going to stay home. I need to recoup. I need to go and have a mental health day. Could I not argue that Ferris Bueller was having a mental health day? And Cameron, remember his buddy Cameron? That guy was a mess. Talk about somebody who was depressed. He was truly having a mental health day. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, text the program, check out the Instagram as well. And the Facebook page, kids. Yeah, we got a Facebook page. A lot of people go there, meet, they argue. It's okay to argue. Just do it in a very kind way. Disagree with each other, but have fun doing it and part as friends. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
He is clearly deeply reluctant to testify. He is a reticent witness, even under the best of circumstances. He will be even more reticent.
Yeah. Mueller week. Here we go. And he is reticent. Let me tell you something. If you don't know anything about Mueller, he is anything but a fun witness. And I mean that. I mean, this guy, he don't want to do this at all.
Mueller is a notoriously reluctant witness on the Hill. He doesn't want to say anything. He's testified up there scores of times, and he has made it his practice not to say very much and to scorn all that bipartisanship. So fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a pretty interesting show this week.
Yeah, it is. And so what you're going to have this week, right? And I want everybody to understand this. So Friday is it for Congress and the Senate. Everybody's going home. It's a 6-week recess / everybody goes back to their home offices, does work and whatnot. They're hoping they get the gotcha moments. And they've been prepared. The Democrats, in so many ways, have been literally uber preparing for it. They're bringing in people. They're role-playing. They're ready to go. This to them. And they're not trying to convince people inside of their own party, inside of that beltway. They're trying to convince people outside of there, people who haven't read it, people who know nothing really about it, have been waiting for the cliff notes. All they know is he wasn't charged with anything. Maybe then that was obstruction, but definitely doesn't look like that he had any real planning with the Russians or whatever to overthrow the election. So their goal is to paint the picture with sound bites that they feel they could tip it. Remember what I've always said. Nixon, it wasn't until the public turned on him. If 60 or 70% of the people still supported Nixon or at least no impeachment, he probably wouldn't have resigned. Right now, Trump's got that in his favor.
Democrats want to use this testimony. They've been intensively preparing. They've been holding mock hearings, trying to see how they can get Robert Mueller to help them make the case. In their judgment, President Trump did have links with Russia in the 2016 campaign and definitely obstructed justice. Republicans, they want to use their time to press their claims that Mueller was biased and that the entire investigation was some kind of deep state skullduggery. But they have a problem. Mueller is a notoriously reluctant witness.
Yeah, notoriously reluctant. So I don't think they're going to get anything out of this. I think what you're going to get is soundbite after soundbite, the usual stuff that you get in this thing. Who can go out there and play the game the best? Meaning, who's going to go out there? Who's going to twist and turn the opportunity of Mueller before you say something. I'm going to twist it back to me. And out of this next, before I even get to your question, I'm going to ramble on for 4.5 minutes. Then I'll ask you a question, and then we'll battle back and forth, because I want a yes or no on things simply as easy as, if he was not the president of the United States, would you have gone after obstruction of justice? And then the other side of things, the Republicans are going to say, okay. If he was not running to be president of the United States, would you ever even looked at this? What about the bias that was on your team that was readily available for everybody to see? So you can say that it didn't play a part in it, but the reality is there was some issues there from jump. And then we're going to talk about how did we even get into this situation here where we were investigating a person who was running for president of the United States. And what part does the Obama administration have to play? So much stuff. But the reality is, come Wednesday night, you're not going to change your mind. If you think Trump is guilty of all of these things, that he should be impeached, you already think that. Nothing's going to change. If you think he's innocent, it has been a witch hunt, it's a bunch of BS, you think that right now, that's what it is. That's the way this game is going to play itself out. So be prepared to not be wowed, wooed, or moved. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Yes, over the weekend. Oh, goodness me. Lots of talking about what's going on with Trump, the whole 9 yards. It's not going anywhere, the whole tweet thing. And now it's funny, because when you look at what voters are concerned with, they're concerned with the cost of health care. They're concerned with, let's not see another financial meltdown, because I like the way that the economy's going. They're concerned with a lot of things. But Trump has now made this us versus them, America versus the others. And that's where the battle's going to go. And he did it last week with the tweet overnight over the weekend that turned out to be just the start of something. And it got to the point where it was, yes, send her back, send her back.
The current occupant of the White House does not understand the responsibility that comes with that office. The President of the United States has a very powerful voice and tool, which is that microphone. And it should be used in a way that reflects the strength of the office to lift people up and not beat them down. But this president, I guess, thinks that he becomes stronger by those who he pushes down.
Here's the thing with the president. Like him or not, one thing he knows how to do is win. Right? That's something he knows how to do. He knows how to push buttons. He knows how to do things that, while to me, not a fan of, he gets attention. He moves the needle. He revs up the bass. And he knows how to win. And that's an issue right now for the Democrats. Because do the Democrats know how to win? Is this a winning issue for the president? No. But what he's going to do is he's changing the narrative. This is us versus them. This is people who believe that America is flawed and broken, and that everything about America and the way that it became this amazing country, good, bad, or indifferent, there is no good. It's just bad or indifferent. And he's going to play this game. And the other thing is, the Democrats really need to understand exactly what's playing out here. And I don't know if they do. But he has now got them to be front and center of this 2020 election. He has got them to play this game and to be front and center, which is going to make them. I sit here and I heard something over the weekend that it was perfect. Where they said, you got to go kiss the ring now, right? You got to go do that. You got to go kiss that ring. He's going to get them to be us versus them. Do you want America, right? Mom, apple pie, baseball, 4th of July, or do you want Venezuela? He's going to do that. And for a lot of people in the middle, and people that are those blue dog Democrats, right? But they've got some conservatism in there. They look at this and it makes them feel uncomfortable. It really, really does. So it'll be very interesting to see the way this thing plays itself out.
But what I'm unhappy about are the chants of the squad, the chants of anti-American, anti-Semitic chants that they push forward.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't happy with the way that they act. But the left never calls them on it. The left only calls Trump on it. I'll call both of them. I didn't like what happened the other day. I didn't like the tweet. I did not like the chants. I thought that was ridiculous. Don't tell me, Trump, you're lying to my face when you tell me I tried to stop. You didn't try to stop it. You had a smirk on your face. I don't like it. I do not like it. In saying that, yes, I said it last week and I'll say it again. You can love being an American, but not love this country. I think that these, in particular, Ilhan Omar, loves the things that America has given her, hates the way America came about. Hates a lot of what America stands for, from capitalism and freedom, and looks at this country as a completely unfair place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from every single one of you. I don't know what's going to happen in Iran, but I do know this. It is getting uglier. If you didn't see the film, they came aboard. They raised their flag. And now it's the what's next scenario with Iran. Because remember, even though we're out of that deal, the Europeans are still in it. And last time I checked, the British are part of Europe, at least for now.
An IRGC, which is Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, approaches, and you can hear on the audio one of the officers on board saying, you need to alter your course, and if you obey, you will be safe. But that's not what actually happens, because the British officer is pushing back, and you can hear him saying that this is an international waterway. And then finally, when they realize that the Iranians are going to board their boat, he actually says, please confirm that you are not going to be unlawfully boarding this ship.
But they did. And they raised their flag, and that has caused more than a few bits of tension. And the British are still upset about this thing, and they have every right to be. They arrested 16 or 17 people today, Iran, saying they were CIA spies. So we'll never know the truth about that, right? Because the CIA is, well, it's the CIA. And were they really spies? Probably not. But this is what they're doing, and they're going to push it. One thing that's interesting is Russia said the reason they did it, this was hilarious, is because they want to protect the ecological climate change. They're worried about the environment in the Strait of Hormuz is one reason they did it. But the Chinese have been relatively quiet in a situation like this. So that is something that's very interesting.
We simply cannot escort each individual ship. That is not a long-term solution to this. We need to recognize that there is a threat. We do need to provide solutions that allow shipping to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. But at some point in time, where is it too far? Where is it a bridge too far? And that's the question I think people are going to ask sooner rather than later. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I do love hearing from each and every single one of you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Do what every other major country on earth does, and that is guarantee health care to all people. The people of this country understand. They really do.
Do they? Here's the thing with the people of this country understand that maybe Bernie doesn't understand is we like having our freedom from government, right? Like that's what we were looking for, right? This whole country came about. I mean, there was debate even when they were drafting everything of did they give too much to the federal government? The reality is it all sounds great. And when you look, and there's a great article today I read about how frustrated people are with the cost of healthcare. They're not upset with the way that healthcare is, as far as they like their doctors, they like the opportunities they have. They hate the cost of it. You're talking about fundamentally changing something that for all intents and purposes could do so much wrong. Could change the way you see your doctor. could put a crimp on everything in your life, could take away many, many choices. And we as Americans like our choices. We do. We absolutely love our choices. I don't want our choices to be taken away. There's ways of going about doing it. And here's the other thing. I don't trust the government in any way, shape, or form to come in anywhere near the number they pretend they're going to come in. It's going to cost $30 to $40 trillion over 3 years, but you're not going to pay anything over 10 years, but you're not going to pay anything. It's going to be this, that, and the other. Well, that's not always true. You're talking about taking over how much of the economy? 20% of the economy. You don't think that's going to have an effect on us? Hell yes, it is. But people are sick and tired of looking up, going, my deductibles are ridiculous. They're sick and tired of going, how much does this medicine cost? Why do we have to pay the freight for the rest of the globe? When Bernie talks about how inexpensive it is for a lot of people around the globe comparatively to what we pay, we also have to understand that we pay for them to have it inexpensively. And that pisses us off. And it should. There's ways of going about doing this in a capitalistic society that isn't going to be done if he has his way. And remember, if he kills this thing and the government kills this thing, look how bad they did with Obamacare. Imagine what that's going to look like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Oh, my Lord. This is a tragic story. I don't know if you guys saw this, but we joke around here about nature will mess you up. And it's not just big sharks and things of that nature. It is anything to do with nature. A hurricane is nature. A tornado is nature. A wave is nature.
The Dingle family suffering right now after a deadly accident on vacation. Friday, Lee Dingle died while enjoying the beach at Oak Island. Now back in Raleigh, his wife Shannon posting on Twitter that her husband was in shallow water with 3 of their children when a wave knocked him down, breaking his neck. She says swelling from the injury caused the 37-year-old to suffocate.
You feel such overwhelming sorrow and grief for their family.
Yeah, it is awful. So he got hit, shallow water, big wave, but big enough. I mean, it wasn't like a 20-foot wave or anything. But you got to think about this. Water is powerful. It is all powerful. It is almighty and powerful. It is as strong as concrete, and it will destroy concrete. And then you top that off with the fact that it's moving, and then you're going to be hitting sand that will have very little give. You become a sandwich, even though you think you're having fun. Body surfers die all the time. By the sounds of this is just a situation where the guy was hanging out in the waves.
Loved ones say Lee Dingle was a great dad.
How he saw each child for who they were uniquely and just supported them in that and encouraged them and was always there for that.
Dingle worked for Atlas Engineering in Raleigh, his first and only job after college. A coworker tells me it was his dream job, and he was a dream employee. The firm promoted him to partner just 3 weeks ago.
But I feel like anyone who knew him was a better person from their interactions with him.
Yeah, that's just a horrible thing. But nature, I mean, we go out in all the time. I mean, it is dangerous. And can you imagine that? I mean, just like that. You're there, you're on vacation, you're having fun with your family, and something happens. Something that is freak, something that is just, it shows you how precious life is. And also, for as amazing as our body is, for as amazing as we are, the reality is we're just human beings, right? We are just human beings. We are dust in the wind. I believe that was our good friends for that Kansas. I got a Kansas reference. I know, right? If you could do that, you're doing all right. Like, is that Kansas? I think it was Kansas. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Do love hearing from you. You can text the program as well. Check out the Instagram. Golfed a little this weekend. 108 degrees. Went out and played pretty well, though. Felt pretty good about myself. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A Michigan beauty pageant winner and outspoken supporter of President Trump has her crown revoked. She claims it was over her political views. Kathy Jew was abruptly stripped of her title of Miss Michigan last week after some past tweets came to the attention of pageant officials. And Kathy Jew joins us now. Kathy, thanks for being here. So just to get the story straight, the pageant officials said that they found your social media content to be offensive, insensitive, and inappropriate. Do you see why they felt that way?
All right, so I'm going to stop Allison Camerado there because Kathy Jew, if you've seen her, here she is. She wins the Miss Michigan thing, and she's on her way, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, again, it's the beauty pageant. They should have vetted her better. She said that. But this entire time I listened to this interview, all Allison Camerado was trying to do was gotcha. That's all I'm trying to do is gotcha. She never listened to anything the girl had to say. She never listened to anything. All she was trying to do was the gotcha game. That's it. Period. Case closed. For those of you who don't know, she's Asian American. Okay. And this is the Twitter's verse. MAGAphobia. I saw hashtag trending this weekend. So I will let her answer the question. But just know this. As you listen to Allison Camerado the entire time, everything is about a gotcha moment, not understanding what was going on and this thing called a thread.
Honestly, you shouldn't just take, tweets out of context. I think it's super important to the full context of the tweet and the full conversation. Everything I've posted was my statistics and opinions. And I think that, we should be empowering women's voices and not just stripping them of their title only because of their opinions.
So let's look at some of your posts that I think that they had objections to. So here was one. This was from October 2017. I think it was in reference to some conversation about Black Lives Matter. You wrote, "Did you know the majority of black deaths are caused by other blacks? Fix problems within your own community first before blaming others." So do you see how that could be seen as offensive?
Yes, but it was the thread. Black Lives Matter and her and some people were going at it and talking about the police and all of that stuff that was going on. And it was the thread. It was the threat. Why don't people understand that? You see, again, we can take anything out of context, and you forget when you tweet something, even if you answer somebody back, that is out there. It's not like it just goes singularly to that person. When you tweet something back, whatever that answer is, you ever notice that sometimes stuff doesn't even make sense? Because you're looking at a singular tweet from somebody answering somebody else, right? But this entire time, again, it's CNN, it's Allison Camerado. It is all about getting the gotcha moment.
This tweet was actually in response to another person talking about how all blacks or all cops are bad people, that they kill innocent black people. And I think that you shouldn't just put a blanket statement over all cops. Again, read full tweets and context to make sure to see the full story.
Yeah, but I guess your point of, did you know the majority of black deaths are caused by other blacks? What's your point?
What's your point? I'm answering a question that somebody threw at me. What part are you not understanding, Allison? Do you not get it? Right? What part do you not get? What part? Where are we missing the connection here? If somebody asks me a question about something, and I answer that question or hit them back with facts about something, right? So somebody comes back and say, only people ever killed by cops are black people, and they're the biggest singular danger to, black people in this country are police officers. And then I hit back with, and they direct it at me and we're in a conversation. I hit back with something else. Do you see what I'm doing here? There's a thread. We're in a conversation. You want to take out a piece of conversation and wonder why there wasn't something else. Well, why? Because I'm answering a question that somebody else posed at me. What part of this is hard to understand? Apparently to CNN, plenty.
That's statistics. You can find that on FBI's website. This is all backed up by statistics and facts. I think it's really, really awful how the left thinks that statistics and facts are racist. So I don't think anything I said was remotely wrong. I stand by every tweet that I post.
Okay, now, Allison's going to get rolling here, right? Because we got to make sure that we're woke and we virtue signal.
And do you know who causes the majority of white deaths?
Yeah, this is, apparently this is white people cause white deaths. It's not even that's the issue. The issue is that people didn't know that I was responding to another person calling cops bad people.
Right. I guess my point is, why would you focus on blacks causing black deaths when the majority
because Black Lives Matter. My God, is it hard to understand?
This is
Sweet
why
Jiminy
people
Cricket.
think that has a ring of racism to it. You didn't mention the white statistic.
Ugh. She is insufferable. She is. She is insufferable. Let's be real. She's a MAGA supporter. She's a conservative. She doesn't fit the narrative of what they're looking for. They found something they thought they could come after. She was responding to somebody in Black Lives Matter about blacks, and many people have talked about it before. We can have the debate and conversation. Crackers kill crackers. Blacks kill blacks. And we can go over this all day long. But if somebody asks me a question about a specific thing, or blanket says something, and I have data to prove something completely different, and I do that, and you take it out of context, that's on you. The reality is she wore Make America Great Again stuff. She's a conservative. She did some stuff with a hijab where she thought it was just silly that they were, try hijab on day at her college. And she says, that's ridiculous. That's not a fashion statement. And then she said something, or is this just the beginning of what is going to be like under, Islamic rule? And everybody freaked out about that. But, and again, you want to prove a point. You want a virtue signal. You want the gotcha moment. That's exactly what she was looking for. I think she held her own, but it just shows you the ridiculousness of what's out there. And if you're a conservative, guess what? You've got to temper yourself. I have friends in Hollywood who are libertarian/conservatives, and they keep their mouth shut because they want to keep working. They do. Hell, I saw an ad today for a place in Santa Ana, California. Now, I used to live in Santa Ana, California. It is, it's an interesting place, but it says that, no homophobics, no Islamic phobics, or something like that, and no Trump supporters. And people are probably going, yeah, because virtue signaling is wonderful. Go onto a stage night anywhere in comedy in the West Coast, right, or on the East Coast, and you get up saying, God, President Trump sucks, and people are, woo! Virtue signaling BS. You don't like the fact that she's a conservative. Get over it. You want to be able to put something that says, I don't want a Trump supporter to rent a room for. People will cheer for it. It's simple and easy, right? It's not as weird as the person in England. I don't know if you guys saw this. Here's a perfect example of insanity when it comes to looking for a roommate. So if you thought the no Trump supporter was weird, this one takes the cake. We are after, a conscious female, preferably, but males will be considered, in her late 20s to late 40s, who is carving destiny for herself without being sold to a covenant, boring, short-sighted, consumerist life on the modern, civilized, city-dwelling techno-human who lives in the workshop entertainment rhythm. If you have a job in a fancy company or a corporation, buy coffee and lunches daily, socialize at pubs and bars every weekend, we will not get on well together. So this is what they're looking for, right? So wait, we're just like, this is great. You've got to be comfortable being naked, by the way, and being around people that are naked, right? We would like you to have an experience in living and working in a community in a countryside where money did not change hands, as well as a rich experience in participating in workshops and retreats aiming at realizing human potential. You'll have a vision or be praying for one. We'll know who you are and will be working towards self-knowing, either in a field of therapy, while its many facets, or spirituality in the broadest sense of the word. Personal growth, tantra, healing plants, magic, circus theater, dance movement, voice, psychodrama mask, encounter groups, etc. Oh my God. It also wants you not to buy anything from the store, to only buy stuff that is grown from local farmers and stuff like that. You must prepare your meals. You shouldn't be buying any meals out. It is, be prepared to have fun. Look, if that's the way you want to live, great. At least you know what you're getting. At least you know what you're getting. It's so funny. People are crazy fun, I tell you that. That's a perfect roommate for you. Oh, my Lord. So you got to be comfortable being naked. No change. So does that mean if there's no changing of money, right? That's what they said. There's no changing of money. Does that mean that I don't have to pay you? So we're cool. You're cool with me being naked, right? And I should be cool with you being naked. But we don't know I don't know how I'm getting my food, because if I can't exchange, what gifts do I have? I can't make anything. I have to make something? What if I'm not good with my hands? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So somebody wants a roommate that's not a Trump supporter, and then somebody wants a roommate who's comfortable in being naked. You guys comfortable in being naked? You ever notice that, like, if you've never been to a nude beach, I've been to a nude beach in Europe. And by the way, most beaches in Europe are topless anyway, so it's not a big thing. But rarely is it what you think it's going to be. I just want to point that out to everybody. Rarely is what you think you're going to go there and it's going to be all Adonises and all, Pam Andersons. It's not. I just want to point that out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo!
I do think we have bigger problems than plastic straws. You know, it's interesting about plastic straws. So you have a little straw. But what about the plates, the wrappers, and everything else that are much bigger, and they're made of the same material? So the straws are interesting. Everybody focuses on the straws. There's a lot of other things to focus. But it's an interesting question.
Why he just chimes in on that? Plastic straws. Because that's the thing, right? Plastic straws. Saving the world, inch by inch, foot by foot, all based on the fact that a kid put together something. I think he was 10 years old in California, and now if you've ever tried to drink through a paper straw, it sucks. It does. First of all, you taste paper. Right? You taste paper. And now the new thing is people are selling those metal straws. You saw that lady, was it like 2 weeks ago, where she tripped and fell and the metal straw went through her brain and killed her? Yeah, there's that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show with your Twitter. You could tweet at me. I find it funny. Look, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has endorsed a situation where you can now bring your own plastics and stuff to a restaurant to bring home your doggy bag, right? So they're not giving you stuff, which to me, I have no problem with stuff like that. That to me is just like, that's a good thing, right? If you think you're going to have leftovers, you want to bring it home, you want to bring your own Tupperware and take it home. I have zero problem with that. But a lot of this other stuff, to me, I just find it to be ridiculous. I find it to be virtue signaling, and it's a bunch of BS. I just find it what are you trying to do, right? It's a bunch of baloney. There's better ways of going about handling things than I think doing stuff that makes us feel good, but in the end, does it really do anything? No, I don't think it does. It just makes us feel like we're achieving I'm achieving something. Ah! Ugh, goodness. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Of course, Wednesday, big day. What's going to happen? How's it going to go? Will Mueller crack? Will he not crack? I'm going to go with he's not going to crack, and he's going to be very dull. His answers are going to be very short. He's going to be very terse with everybody. It'll be very interesting, but they still think they got Trump.
They've said that it found no collusion, that it found no obstruction, that it exonerated the president. All three of those statements are absolute lies. It found a great deal of collusion. It found a great deal of obstruction of justice by the president, and it found and it pointedly refused to exonerate the president. We think it's very important for the American people to hear directly what the facts are, because this is a president who has violated the law 6 ways from Sunday. If anyone else had been accused of what the report finds the president had done, they would have been indicted.
But the reality is it been anybody else, and had he not even been president, none of this stuff would have ever come out. And that's the question that the Democrats are going to ask. Hey, would you indict him if he was just a normal person with obstruction? And that Republicans are going to come back and go, would there ever been an investigation on a normal person over something like this? No, it wouldn't have happened. Here, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what's going to happen on Wednesday. More sound bites from the people asking the question, because that's what this is about. It's not about Mueller, because they're not going to get Mueller to answer the questions that they want answered in the way that they want answered. So we're going to ask you these questions, and we want a yes or no. And he's not going to do it. The guy doesn't give it up. He doesn't play the game. He's not going to give in to anybody. Anybody who's ever known him, worked with him, will tell you over and over and over again, this guy just doesn't do it. He doesn't like playing the game, and he doesn't want to be there.
Mueller is a notoriously reluctant witness on the Hill. He doesn't want to say anything. He's testified up there scores of times, and he has made it his practice not to say very much and to scorn all that bipartisanship. So fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a pretty interesting show this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in the sense that people are looking for the soundbite. And here's the other thing. What the Democrats are hoping is the majority of America, and by that I mean pretty much everybody in America and a good majority of people in the Beltway, have not read the Mueller report. I've had it read to me because I got it on Audible. It's dull. It's boring. It's for lawyers. What they're looking to do is get it to the point where it's simplified, that they can show you all the bad things that Trump's about. The Republicans on the other side are going to show you all of what led to this and how this should never even come to the situation it came to. And that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get anything else. It's going to be grandstanding, but the reality is not, this isn't for the lawmakers. And I want everybody to understand, this is not for the lawmakers Wednesday. This is for the public that pays kind of attention to politics, hasn't made up their mind, which is very few. Because the goal is we need to get people on board with this. Because the only way we can get an impeachment before 2020 is if the majority of Americans are on our side. If it stays 60-40, it's not happening. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Feeling that? Do it. Tweet at us. By the way, something I didn't touch on earlier, Comic-Con was this weekend, and
hello, Hall H.
Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige dropped a lot of news. 5 new movies and 5 new TV shows coming, including the movie The Eternals, featuring
Angelina Jolie,
who says she's going to work very hard now that she's part of the Marvel Universe.
I am in training and thrilled. Thank you so much.
Other films include a new Thor, a new Doctor Strange, and finally a Black Widow movie starring Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a weird dreamland. It's very, very strange and very exciting, but also mind-blowing.
Black Widow is out in May.
I don't know how exciting it's going to be. I'm not a fan of Black Widow. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For the Democrats, proposals to countering racial tension in this country are proving to be just as important as proposals on legacy issues like health care. Now, the Biden campaign is out with a fresh video highlighting the president's response to those chants, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg has released a proposal on how to tackle racial inequality in this country.
Yeah, in fact, Mayor Pete came out over the weekend and said essentially that the country is close to going into a civil war, which I don't buy. But that's his feeling. I do not believe, and you can put me on record, that this country is close to going to civil war. I think that the noise that you hear, a lot of it is exactly that noise. The exhausted majority that is us who do rule the day, the 70% of us who can vote in either direction, but want to talk about real issues and want to see things actually done. Don't care who gets the credit, because as far as we're concerned, it's about getting something done. we're not going to throw down with each other. Now, the fringes may want to, right? So let them, right? You guys want to go somewhere? We'll find you an island somewhere. You guys can go beat the crap out of each other all day long. You guys go yell at each other, do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm more concerned about the cost of health care and the rising cost of health care and the fear that somebody wants to take that health care over. I'm more concerned about cleaning up our environment without breaking us and making it ridiculous. I'm more concerned about the fact that we have wealth and equity in this country. But what we really have is an inequity in understanding how money works. Not that some people have it and some people don't. Go anywhere in the world. Well, Sweden's not like that. You know, Sweden's great. It's a fantastic place. Bernie loves it. He should move there. You'll love it, Bernie. It's great. You're going to get everything you've ever dreamed of, right? Denmark, you love it. It's great. By the way, for those of you not keeping score, they have no minimum wage there. They have no death tax, and they have no wealth tax. Now, they got a stronger union, labor union there, but they're not inventing stuff. And if they do invent something, if you were in Sweden today or Denmark and you came up with the greatest idea in the world, the first move you're going to do is leave. You're like, we better leave. Better get up on it here, out of here. We're concerned about real things that affect America. And the frustration level is we're not getting that. Because politics is so much more important than actual results. Immigration isn't getting fixed, and it could get fixed. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's not hard at all. Race has become an issue. Absolutely. Trump has been very divisive. But the media has played a great game as well and act like one side has no part to play in this. Yeah, people have parts to play in this. I hate to tell you guys this. They do. And this week, what are we going to hear from Wednesday on? Will it be the battle of the squad? There's a possibility. But the reality is you're going to have this Mueller thing come up. Mueller's going to go there. He's not going to want to talk to anybody. He's going to be stale and boring. It's all about the people asking the questions, not the people and the person answering the question. And he's going to say a lot of this. It's in my report. You'll find the findings in my report. You'll find the findings in my report. But what do people really want to talk about? Race is becoming one of those issues.
Wisconsin voter Dave Stavarovich voted for Trump in 2016, but now he regrets it. What are you thinking for 2020? You plan to support Donald Trump again?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I don't want to have another 4 years of embarrassment going on.
And what we've seen this past week, he says, is just another example of that.
That tweet that everybody's talking about, I would not define that as a racist tweet, but it is a hatred tweet for sure.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't. But I don't like a lot of what all politicians do. Because when do they do something where you go, well, that's awesome? Well, they got something done. Very rarely. And we don't hear about it, too. And that's also the media's fault that we don't hear about it. But it frustrates us. Some people like what Trump does. Some people like the fact that he pushes the envelope. Some people like the fact that he is what he is. And we've talked about it on numerous occasions. And I'll continue to remind you. For a lot of people out there, the frustration of walking on eggshells in this politically correct world, and this includes a good portion of Democrats, by the way, who are over the political correctness, groupthink, weirdness, virtue signaling. They're over that. And so, yeah, Trump says stuff and it pisses a lot of people off and he just doesn't care. And they kind of like that because they know that every once in a while, if they said something, their feet are going to be held to the fire. And this guy, he doesn't care how hot it gets.
His co-worker at this Eau Claire, Wisconsin plumbing company, Carrie Krumenauer, also voted for Trump in 2016. And she sees it differently.
How is it racist? If you don't like this country, get out. Leave. That's all he said. He didn't use any names. They stood up. So that's all they did. They made themselves look like idiots.
Unlike her co-worker, Dave, Carrie has no regrets about voting for Trump.
He takes no crap from anybody. And that's why I love him.
Yeah. And that for a lot of people, that's what they enjoy. He takes no crap from anybody. They kind of enjoy that. Oh, yeah, he doesn't take any crap. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. But it does get exhausting talking about the stuff. People say, God, there's a lot to talk about. I said, there's really not. There's so much more I'd like to be talking about, but we can't actually deal with it in a real way because we're too busy talking about the squad. It's the squad. It's Trump versus the squad. It's nuts. And I know most of you listening out there, you find it laughable, but you'd like to see stuff get done. And I think it can get done. And I remind everybody on both sides of the aisle, whatever gets done, whether it's health care in a different way or whatever it's going to be, it's never going to be perfect. If you're looking for perfection, it ain't happening. Don't look here. Not on this planet. It's just not going to happen. But can things be better? That they can be. But for Trump and for the people that support him or dislike him, they have a massive passion of hatred or love for him. Very few people don't have an opinion on him.
Dave really regrets his vote.
I didn't know he was going to act this way, so I am embarrassed by him.
What don't you like about the president?
He doesn't act like a president should in my eyes. In a way, I think Brett's hatred. It's like a little kid having a temper tantrum, the way he talks about blah, 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 or whatever, however it says it, it comes across. It, to me, is childish.
Yeah. At times it is. But he enjoys the fight. Not a fan of it. I think it distracts from a lot of different things. But we're also looking at a president that has gone through things that other presidents haven't gone through, and somebody on the left won't have to go through. The media is not going to come after a majority of these people that are running on the left unless they don't like how not left they are. They're not coming after them. We'll see. It's going to be, between the Mueller report this week and, next week we've got the debate part due. I just sit here and think, what do we have? Because I'm a free agent. I'm a free agent. And I look over at the Democrats, and none of you represent any of the things that I think I care about as far as the reality of caring about them. You represent fantasy. Free everything to everybody all the time. You represent this wild, weird world of utopia that just isn't going to exist anywhere else but in mind and on a piece of paper. But it ain't happening.
Robert Mueller is due to testify, and to quote the title of one of my favorite TV shows, I say, curb your enthusiasm. To those who have high expectations that there will be stunners delivered at this late date, I just don't see it for a variety of reasons. He doesn't want to be there, and he's already told us that he will limit his testimony to the four corners of his report.
And that's all you need to know about Wednesday. For all of this stuff, just know the excitement is, this is a sales job to the American people. How can we sell he needs to be impeached? It's just not going to happen. If the Democrats want to get something done, the reality is, looking at what you have going on right now, you better hope your most electable gets through, which would be Joe Biden, even though they're using Obama in many ways and what Obama did, the failure of Obamacare, immigration, how he's the deporter in chief, against Joe Biden. And secondly, if you really want to get something done, you better pour a ton of money into trying to get Mitch McConnell out of there. Because if you don't get Mitch out, nothing happening. If Mitch is still in the lead and he's sitting there with a smile on his face, he'll do whatever he wants. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from all of you. I don't know if you guys are paying any kind of attention, but you should be paying attention to what is going on currently in Hong Kong. It is ugly. It is nasty. and it is close to becoming something that, quite frankly, is going to boil over. And this is China being China.
Violence is not a solution to any problem. Violence will only breed more violence. And at the end of the day, the whole of Hong Kong and the people will suffer.
Yeah. So what's happening over there is the Chinese have taken over some 20 plus years ago the island of country of Hong Kong. So they have Hong Kong. And what's happening with Hong Kong is their whole thing is when they took it over from the British is they were going to essentially ignore Hong Kong and let Hong Kong kind of do itself. They were going to benefit from the capitalistic world of Hong Kong and the fact that it's one of the hubs in the financial world, especially in the East. But they weren't really going to do anything. But slowly but surely, they've gone against their words and started to ramp things up. And about a month or two ago, they wanted to put something in place where if you broke a law in Hong Kong, instead of being tried there, they were going to fly you and you had to be tried in China, on mainland China. And people took to the streets protesting. China's goal is everything to be Chinese, including us. That is their goal. Hong Kong is resisting, and the world's watching to see what happens. Because now what's happening is, after they decided to kill that bill, slowly but surely, they're starting to crack down on the protesters, but they're not using the police. Instead, they're doing what you see is very popular in places like Cuba, in places like South America, where they're bringing in kind of freelancers who are coming in, and the police are turning a blind eye while the protesters are getting thumped. So people are watching to see what happens in Hong Kong because they know what's next. And that is the fight between China and Taiwan. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Raycon, amazing earbuds. I had my earbuds in all weekend. So cool. So rocking and cool. Neat colors. If you're like me, I like headphones. For me are very weird. Trying to get the comfortability of headphones is I'm very particular. So when Raycon sent me out some to try, I said, all right. And they've got this little clip thing that goes on your ear. It's amazing because I've had ones before where they just fall off and they got the stems and some wires. It just didn't work. These are wireless. They're amazing. Ray J is one of the founders. He's a musician. He's an entrepreneur. And he's used this technology that he's created. It's so amazing. Beautiful, comfortable designs. They've changed the game. Half the price of any of the premium wireless earbuds. And it's neat, too. The way you just charge the little thing. It carries in. You don't have to worry about charging each earbud. It is so amazing. They look great. They sound great. Get yours now. And an amazing deal. 15% off for my listeners. 15% off. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Save yourself 15% off. Best earbuds around. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
An analysis of figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that even without a college degree, high school graduates can earn well over the median annual wage of $38,640. After completing an apprenticeship, elevator installers and repairers, for example, can make twice that. The median salary for a nuclear power plant operator is almost $100,000, but the Labor Department says those jobs are going away as the country moves toward other renewable energy sources.
Which there'll be jobs for, but you've got to be trained for them. We're putting a lot of money into green energy and just energy that's different, right? For whatever, we look at green energy, and this is where the fossil fuel world, I think they get it, but they're still the demons. They are. But, man, there's so many opportunities out there. Be the first one. Create stuff that's better. Create stuff that's renewable. Create stuff that'll last. Be a winner. Back in the day, you had kerosene, right? That was it. In fact, the prices were so low for kerosene that there was a monopoly. Nobody got into it, right? There was no reason to it. He kept it low, so they didn't have to worry about it. Then along came what? Along came electricity. Somebody made something new. Nothing wrong with it. It's awesome. And there's going to be tons of jobs out there, but you got to get trained for it. And here's the other thing. So many of these jobs that are out there, we have this weird, over the last 20 plus years, this weird thing where if you don't go to college, somehow you're weird. You're broken. You should have gone to college, right? There are people out there who would rather make $50,000 a year with $100,000 in debt from college because they have a degree, as if that means something, than be a plumber and make $90,000 a year because somehow you're not as educated or as smart. And there's a stigma there. There is. For some people. Not for the people making that $90,000 a year, but for other people out there who may be thinking about doing something like that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. They killed an interview. We'll touch on that. Somebody's in love with an inanimate object. Wait to hear this story. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Organizers calling for an island-wide strike. They expect about 1 million people to hit the streets. Some U.S. officials and Democratic presidential hopefuls joining in on the calls for Rosselló to step down, but he has refused. He did say he is ready to face the legislative process, which could open him up to impeachment. Victor Oquendo, ABC News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Rosselló, if you guys don't know who he is the governor of Puerto Rico, who got himself in more than a bit of hot water, already lost some of his cabinet because of text messages, I guess emails that were sent behind closed doors, if you will, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and homophobic, misogynistic, sexist, racist, blah, 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 blah. And he's refusing to step down at all. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I won't run for re-election. So there's going to be about 1 million people out there. They've been showing pictures all day long of Puerto Rico. It's a party. Puerto Rico has a lot of issues. From, that hurricane where a good portion of the island still has a lot of they've got nothing. Still no electricity. Stuff still isn't working. As far as debt goes, it is massive. Each person in Puerto Rico, I believe, has like $22,000 in debt as far as what they owe, the country owes. I mean, it's insane. And this guy's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to run for re-election, but I'm not leaving. But they're having a party out there. They just showed, man, people are dancing. And Ricky Martin's out there with the rainbow flag because he said a bunch of stuff about Ricky Martin, how much Ricky Martin hates women so much so that he only sleeps with men. And it was just, this guy, he just doesn't care, man. He's not going anywhere. That's the Trump effect right there.
You have incompetent, totally grossly incompetent leadership at the top of Puerto Rico. The people of Puerto Rico are great. And the people of Puerto Rico like me, and they should, because nobody's given them what I give them. But the leadership is corrupt and incompetent.
Yeah, but it's been that way for a long time. If people want new leadership, here's the thing, though. Every time you guys say we want new leadership, you go and you get new leadership. What ends up happening? It all falls apart.
We want a government that really represents us, that is working there for the people of Puerto Rico and not for their own benefits and the benefits of their own friends.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. All right? It's not. It's not happening. You guys have failed over and over again. It's just how many times? This guy's only been here since 2017. He favors becoming a state. Oh, the new Progressive Party, I think he's with. He favors becoming a state. That's not going to happen. But if you look at the way that, Puerto Rico has gone, it's just a disaster. and it's not getting any worse. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. 2020 getting closer. The big debate's going to be out there. Bernie's been out pushing his thing that he really wants. So far, he's given us free everything.
Do what every other major country on earth does, and that is guarantee health care to all people. The people of this country understand. They really do.
Do they understand? I think they kind of understand. I mean, it all sounds great, and the frustration that people have with the cost of health care, that's just it. When you talk to people, they're sick and tired of the high deductibles, right? And they're sick and tired of the fact that they're paying a ridiculous amount on a monthly basis for a lot of stuff they're never going to use. So you've got this massive inflated, it's, because of Obamacare, you have to have everything. You're a 24-year-old woman still, you have to have access to a proctologist just in case you get you get prostate cancer. It's little stuff like you're a 72-year-old man and you've got to have everything covered just in case you get pregnant. We would like a little bit more a la carte. And it's frustrating. And right now, Biden is trying to take it on because he wants to grow Obamacare and do something completely different with it. And the left is coming after him for that, as is Bernie.
I like Joe, and we'll have a good debate. We'll have a good debate about health care. But you can't say that moving to a Medicare for all will provide a hiatus and an ending of care for a certain period of time. That's just not true.
We like our choice. The beauty of our country is we like our freedom. We want to be able to have our choice. We do. Obamacare was flawed from the beginning. It was written to be more a law than it ever was to be health care. It didn't do any of the things it said it was going to do as far as cost cutting and keeping care low. And it frustrated just as many as it, quote unquote, helped. But now you've got to find out do you want the Medicare for all? Could that even happen? How does that really look in this country? I don't think it's going to happen anytime in the near future, but I think the opportunity for the Democrats and for people coming after Bernie to get something done is real. Speaking of Bernie, so he's advocating for the $15 an hour. He's out there, pitching the dream. And it's funny because all the while this is going on, his staff has been complaining. You're paying starvation wages. The Washington Post reported last week staffers were upset that even though he's championed $15 an hour on the campaign trail, that hasn't happened. And his employees are having, quote unquote, poverty wages. So he's asked them, they wanted to unionize and they're doing all this stuff and they're showing it. Here's the thing. The higher ups in the campaigns get paid six figures, right? Then you've got field organizers. They earn $36,000 per year, employer-paid health care, sick leave, right? But essentially, because of the hours they work, it works out to be less than $15 an hour. So what he's doing now is, we'll pay you $15, but now we're going to limit your hours. So real world comes into effect. Whoa, wait, that's real world. Yeah, that's real world. That's what real world looks like, Bernie. That's what it looks like. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. I love hearing from each and every single one of you. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm okay with it. Feel free to speak your mind. I like it. I can take it.
Inside George Washington High School, taking a closer look at the work of art called Life of Washington. Outside, we spoke to Amy Anderson, a Native American parent who reignited the call for the murals to be removed. Her son is a senior here.
He would put his head down and look down at the ground, at the floor when he was entering the school, because he just didn't want to see it.
As students enter the school, they come across a mural with colonizers stepping over the dead body of a Native American. Another shows enslaved African Americans next to George Washington.
Now, they're going to paint over this thing, and a lot of right-wing people are freaking out. George Washington, look, I got zero problem with something like this. I don't. I would rather see them add on to it to tell all of the story. But that's got to be tough, right? stepping over the dead body of a Native American. And I think, adding on to the story makes more sense. But if you're not going to do that, then I don't have a problem with painting over this. Now, in saying that, we live in a world where the American flag, we joked about it about 2-3 weeks ago, but that is starting to be challenged by people. Is it offensive? I'm wondering when we're going to look at a place like Washington, D.C. or Washington State, just because the name is Washington or whatever connotation they could say. When are we going to get rid of that? Right? When are we going to get rid of certain places and things because of who the people were that it's named after?
John Rothman is head of the school alumni association who is fighting to keep the murals intact.
George Washington was not a saint, and the American history is not filled with saints. There are a lot of sinners, but the only way you expose something is to really address it directly.
Which is 100% true. You've got to be able to talk about things. And we've replaced that in this day and age. We don't want to talk about things. We want to whitewash history, rewrite history, change certain things, or just outright get rid of the entire thing. And you don't do that. All that we are today, all that you are as a human being is based on the experiences that you've lived in your life. You would want to change some of those if you could, I'm sure. Good and bad. Right? So the bad didn't last as long and the good went further. But you are who you are based on your experiences. We as a nation are who we are based on our experiences and getting rid of those things. While those men were flawed, while those men based on today's world are deemed evil and bad, the reality is all that we have as far as our freedoms and a lot of these things, they helped create and or created. It's a flawed history, but every history in the world of every country has flaws. They do. And we have come so far, we never give ourselves credit for it. Instead, all we do is sometimes I listen to people and it's like, your mom, right? Like no matter, like you get a B, she got an A. You get a 95, you should have got 100. It's like never good enough. That's what I feel like at times with a certain group of people out there. It's just never good enough.
The work was done in 1936 by Russian artist Viktor Arnatov, the year the school opened.
I have been told that the board will vote in favor of covering the murals completely, but not removing them.
Yeah, I would do something different. Paint something else. Give a full shot all the way till today, right? Because I think it tells the whole story rather than just getting rid of said story, which is never good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. This is a great story. So you've got a bride and she's unemployed. And she went on, for whatever reason, she was on social media. And I often wonder, like when stuff comes out of people's heads and minds and they decide they're going to put it somewhere, what do they think is going to happen? And how do they think they sound? Right? So she's pissed because her fiance and her are having issues. She says, we can't stop fighting. I don't know what to do. I quit my job because of wedding planning and was taking up so much of my time. I had to do that. And my fiance is refusing to get a second job. She also goes on to explain why she can't possibly work, how she expects her husband to pick up the extra slack. He doesn't understand that I don't have time to get ready for work, drive to work, be somewhere else all day, and drive home. I need to be home to plan this wedding. I'm trying to find a job from home, but it's difficult. All I want him to do is to get a second job, and he won't. And people going after her saying, run. And I'm saying the same thing, run. It's never going to get better. It's never going to get better. You will never make her happy. And maybe that's your problem, is you want to make her happy, so you will try everything in the world. Everybody in the world's been in a relationship where they try their hardest to make somebody happy that will never be happy. But man, run. Run. It really pisses me off because we're spending $80,000 on this wedding. And he keeps saying we should spend less. Hello? No, this is my wedding. It's also your marriage. Oh, my God. That's insane. Run. the best advice I can get you is flee. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. My Pillow, man, I took a nap on Saturday, played some golf. Hot. 108. Got home, took a quick cool shower, as cool as you can when the pipes are always so hot, and climbed in bed, and next thing you know, I fell asleep, and I woke up, and it was like 3 hours later, and I was out. My Pillow, that's it. Oh, God, it's incredible. Get yours. 60-day money-back guarantee going on right now, so you got nothing to lose. Less than $70, you can get 2 premium pillows. So it's $34.99 per pillow, free shipping. It's the most amazing pillow. You have a 60-day money-back guarantee to try it, so you get nothing to lose. 10-year warranty, right? Something goes wrong, send it back. They'll send you a new one. Made right here in the USA, machine washable and dryable cotton. It's absolutely amazing. You put these things in there. I don't even wash them, right? At first, just put them in, fluff them up a little bit. 15, 20 minutes, and away you go. You're going to love it. Get yours now. Only way my listeners can do this is to go to mypillow.com. Use that promo code Benson. That's mypillow.com. Promo code is Benson. Or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. Promo code Benson. 2 premium pillows, less than $70. 60-day money-back guarantee. Free shipping. mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
The Press Democrat says watermelons are going to replace piglets at the Sonoma County Fair. The pig scramble is being eliminated after the public was concerned. There have been protests over animal welfare. In the long-running event at the Santa Rosa Fair, youngsters chased and tried to catch piglets. This year's August 4th event will now have elementary school children carrying watermelons that have been slicked with vegetable oil. They will go around an obstacle course in a timed race.
I just thought to myself, so we're getting rid of the piglets, like, you know, because Pete is going to complain about everything. That's what they do. They love doing that, and they're coming out. It's not right, and I always thought the fun, you know, watch the kids chase it. I go to the fair, watch the pig races, love pigs. I think they're great, taste great. Had pigs as pets before. But then we're like, we can always find something in something, and every one of you listening right now, I thought, ooh, watermelon, that could be racist too, right? All it takes is one picture, and the next thing you know is like, oh, here we go. Just have water balloon fights, and we'll just get it over with, right? Something like that. You just, at some point in time, because you know, it's like, that's when you do something nowadays, whether you produce a product or whatever it is, you have to sit there and go, how does this product work in the woke world? Who's going to object to this product that could potentially say that this is bad and come back to haunt me in the ass? Because you have to be that aware of what's going on. Case in point, we talked a bit about this last week. I don't know if you heard this. Dan Le Batard, big sports show host for ESPN, who's already had their issues with politics, went out on Thursday and did something that's supposed to be a no-no.
So what happened last night, this felt un-American, what happened last night, okay? Basically a chant, send her back, is not, it's not the America that my parents came to get for us, for exiles, for brown people. Like, there's a racial division in this country that's being instigated by the president, and we here at ESPN haven't had the stomach for that fight because Jamel did some things on Twitter, and you saw what happened after that. And then here, all of a sudden, nobody talks politics on anything unless we can use one of these sports figures as a meat shield in the most cowardly possible way to discuss these subjects.
Well, he got a talking to from the higher-ups because they want to avoid politics, because politics in this day and age is very divisive. And what you want to do in a lot of ways is whether, ESPN, sports is already somewhat divided because you got a different team you root for. But it's within that kind of, it's okay to be divided because we still enjoy it. When you throw yourself out there in the political sense, you put yourself in a situation where ESPN saw numbers start to tank. They started getting hurt. And in the end, it's a bottom dollar kind of thing. And they came out on Friday, told everybody, don't do this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Useless fact of the day. 300 billion pennies have been produced. 150 billion are still in circulation. 137 times around the earth. is if you were to stretch them all around. Think about that for a second. What? Have a great rest of your day as always. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.